What's one piece of advice you would give to someone that's going back home after college and working in their family business? Whether it's not letting egos collide, not blurring the line between business partners and family members whenever disagreements arise. What's that one piece of advice?
Yeah, I think it goes back to just like respecting what already exists. I think for me, coming out of college and, especially like having this, I feel like coming out of Keenan Flagler, you kind of have this like aura of like, oh, I must be really smart because, I got into UNC, I got into Keenan Flagler, and you kind of assume you're just a hot shot going into this family business. And I think for me, it took me a little bit of time to really like respect what they had built. And even though I could see the inefficiencies and the inadequacies, I think it was important for me to understand that this system has worked. And just because I see how it can be bettered doesn't necessarily mean that there's inherent like wrongdoings in the way that they set things up. And that was difficult for me because going back to like the inventory tracking, like the whole Google spreadsheets thing, like for me, like day one, that was a huge issue. And that took like my mom and everyone in the office a little bit of like nudging to go towards because they were so used to doing things one way. And here's this 22-year-old kid who says, "Oh, this is how everyone else is doing it. Why aren't we doing it like this?" And they're like, "Well, this is working for us." So it definitely, it takes some time to learn that you need to respect what already existed before you were there. And then I would also say just really listening before making wholesale changes because once again, I came into this and everything was so obvious to me what needed to be changed, but I didn't really take the time to listen to what everyone there had to say at the get-go. And, it definitely can contribute to ruffling feathers. If you come in and you're wanting to change everything because you think you know what's right, before sitting down and actually listening to what the people there have to say. And I think that's one of the biggest things I do, like to this day, with all of our like the warehouse staff and everything, is I they're my ears. They do this stuff day to day, and they work full time. In the warehouse, figuring out what processes are inefficient, and that's kind of where any change comes from now. Whenever they have something, they bring it to me, and that's now my first step is letting them kind of come to me and figure out what we need to change. So yeah, listening and then just respecting what already exists before you're there.